Vanilla sex, simple affection, even emotional closeness becomes boring. They crave more extreme stimuli, risk, taboo, novelty. Their physical relationships become stunts, not bonds. Porn, degradation, manipulation, anything to bypass the numbness inside. Enter the new supply. A stranger, a fresh partner, a new target, anything that promises the first high again. The cycle starts over. But it's faster each time. The new person becomes boring sooner. The chase accelerates. They are running a marathon where the finish line keeps moving. The high they once felt 20 years ago can never be replicated. They project boredom onto you. You are boring, dull, uninspired. The truth? They are dead inside. Their life has flattened. A healthy person deepens bonds. A narcissist spreads energy thin across many shallow interactions, because depth is impossible. They are empty, and they need distractions. This addiction also makes them ungrateful. You could give them everything, save their life even, and they would resent it the next day. Gratitude requires memory and stability. The narcissist lives only in the now, hungry for the next hit. Your past kindness is gone, metabolized by their addiction. They measure you only by what you give today, never yesterday. Eventually, the addiction escalates to sadism. When nothing else works, cruelty works. Hurting you becomes the only thing that cuts through the fog. It makes them feel godlike. I have power over her. I exist because I can destroy. Their cruelty is survival, not morality. They are trapped in diminishing returns. More lying, more manipulation, more harm, just to feel a fraction of what they once did. You see it on their face, the worn, haggard expression of someone running for decades, never stopping, never satisfied. Exhausted, but unable to quit. The addiction drives them forward, even as it destroys them. Imagine the narcissist's psyche as a bucket with a giant hole in the bottom. This is the leaky bucket of narcissism. No matter how much love, praise, or admiration you pour in, it drains out immediately. There is no internal structure to hold self-esteem. Their arrogance is fragile because it is built on nothing. You are trying to fill a sieve with water, exhausting, impossible work. This is why they have no object constancy. In a healthy person, if I love you, I carry that image in my heart even when you are gone. Not the narcissist. Out of sight is literally out of mind. If you aren't in the room giving them supply, they feel abandoned. This drives paranoia, jealousy, and cheating. They need backup generators because the main power source, their own internal validation, is offline. The void inside them is more than emptiness. It's a vacuum that sucks everything in. This is why they steal pieces of you, your hobbies, your friends, your personality. They mimic your jokes, your mannerisms, your taste, creating a Frankenstein personality from scraps because they have no core identity of their own. This addiction to filling the void makes them hyper-consumerist. Cars, clothes, gadgets, houses, they hoard things, thinking possessions will patch the emptiness. But the thrill is temporary. The object is just a placeholder. The hole screams again. They are buried in toys but dying inside, lonely in the middle of their clutter. They also use triangulation to patch the leaks. Bringing a third person, a co-worker, ex, or friend, into your dynamic creates conflict, competition, and drama. It validates their ego, I am the prize. You are not the goal, you are just a cork to stop the draining. They don't care about the damage, they care about keeping the bucket full for one more hour. The false self is the bucket, a rigid, energy-draining construct. The true self is the whole, the broken, vulnerable child they buried long ago. They are terrified that if the supply stops, the false self will dissolve, and they will fall into the void. To them, arguments, fights, and even your rejection feel existential. Losing supply isn't annoyance, it feels like death. They act like emotional black holes. You can pour in your empathy, patience, and love, and it disappears. They will never say enough, thank you. A black hole doesn't give back light, it only consumes it. You are pouring your energy into an abyss, hoping for a return that is physically impossible. This constant depletion makes them envious. They see you, whole, joyful, content, and hate you for it. If they cannot fill their own bucket, they want to punch a hole in yours. If I can't have peace, neither can you. They destroy what they cannot possess. The leaky bucket also explains amnesia. Yesterday's kindness is gone. They forget the good you did. They live only in the urgent now, hungry for the next hit. You are measured only by what you provide at this exact moment. It's exhausting for you, because no matter how much you give, it's never enough. The truth is simple, this is a death sentence for the relationship. You cannot fill an infinite hole with finite resources. You will run dry before they ever feel full. The only way to survive is to stop pouring. Put down the bucket. Walk away. Let them face their own hole. So, what happens when the narcissist's supply is cut off? When you leave, when they lose status, or when time simply takes it away? They enter withdrawal, and it is brutal. This is not just sadness. This is a full-blown psychiatric emergency. Their brain, addicted to your attention, stops producing the chemicals that keep them alive. They crash. Everything becomes erratic, unpredictable, and dangerous. They are addicts whose dealer has just closed shop. Withdrawal triggers narcissistic mortification. This is shame so deep it feels like being skinned alive. Their mask, the false self they spent decades building, disintegrates, revealing the terrified, broken child inside. They cannot bear it. To escape the pain, they lash out. They burn bridges. They rage. They stalk. They threaten. The world becomes a stage for their screaming, a way to drown out the voice in their head that says, "You are nothing." During withdrawal, you see the dead eyes. The charm, the manipulation, the rehearsed smile, they are gone. Instead, you see the narcissistic stare, black, soulless, predatory. It's raw need and desperation looking right at you. For the first time, they are honest, but it is terrifying honesty. This is the void staring back at the world. Some collapse further into psychosis. The pain of reality is too much, so they create their own. They rewrite history, believe in wild conspiracies, and see you as the villain of a grand plot. They live in a padded mental room, trapped by ghosts of their own making. Suicide threats often appear in this stage. They are the ultimate manipulation, holding their own life hostage to extract your attention. "Look what you made me do," is the mantra. But the risk is real. Withdrawal can push them into life-threatening behaviors. The mortification is unbearable. They would rather die than feel irrelevant, powerless, or exposed. Some become hermits. Unable to secure new supply, they retreat. They lock doors, stop grooming, live in squalor, and isolate themselves from the world. They reject the world before it can reject them. They rot in a tomb of resentment, convinced the outside world is beneath them. Then comes the Hoover, their desperate attempt to relapse. They reach out, not because they miss you, but because they are dope sick. They promise change, love, or imminent death. "I've changed. I love you. I'm dying." But it's a trap. They are hunting a vein. Letting them back in only resets the addiction, draining you all over again. They may also engage in stalking. Monitoring social media, driving by your home, lurking everywhere. You possess the supply they crave. You lock the vault, and it drives them furious. Every moment you live your life without feeding them feels like a personal attack. This stage exposes their cowardice. Without the false self, they are terrified of everything. Alone, in the dark, with their own thoughts, they are powerless. The big bad wolf is revealed as a naked, shivering mole rat. Pathetic. Repulsive. True. Here's the crucial point, you are the detox. By leaving, you force them into withdrawal. You force them to face the emptiness inside. This is the most painful thing they will endure, and it is the only consequence that truly matters. You didn't punish them, you simply stopped enabling the addiction. At last, we reach the ultimate stage, the endgame of the narcissist's relentless addiction. And make no mistake, it is an addiction, a compulsive need that rules their every action, thought, and relationship. We often think they are addicted to power, money, admiration, or even themselves. But the deeper truth is far darker. The endgame of the narcissist's addiction is self-destruction. It is a cruel paradox. The more supply they chase, the faster they spiral toward collapse. Each conquest, each manipulation, each stolen moment of validation accelerates the implosion. They burn bridges indiscriminately, leaving families fractured, friendships in ruins, and careers wrecked. The highs they chase, the attention, the adoration, the illusion of control, become the very flames that consume everything they touch. Eventually, the people around them vanish. There is no one left. And finally, they stand alone, surrounded by the wreckage of choices they made with zero regard for anyone but themselves. And then comes the slow, unrelenting death of loneliness. Research and countless life stories show that narcissists often end up estranged from their children, divorced by partners, abandoned by those who once tolerated their cruelty. They die in empty houses, tended to only by hired hands who don't even know their names. The audience has left the theater. The applause, the admiration they lived for, has stopped. All the noise, the chaos, the desperate attempts to be seen, vanish. And the silence they spent decades running from finally catches up. The void, the emptiness they spent a lifetime avoiding, wins in the end. Then come the health consequences, inescapable and harsh. Years of rage, stress, cortisol overload, and self-destructive habits, alcohol, drugs, reckless living, take their toll. The body, unable to carry the weight of constant hate and adrenaline, begins to fail. Heart attacks, strokes, autoimmune diseases, these are not random. They are the body's record of a life poisoned by its own venom. Their faces show it first, the permanent scowl of bitterness, the deep lines etched by decades of resentment and fury. They look decades older than they are, shadows of the person they once pretended to be. And as life continues, they become the joke. The grandiose narcissist, once larger than life, becomes the cranky old person shouting at clouds in the park. The somatic narcissist, once charming and magnetic, becomes the creepy figure nobody wants around, trying in vain to reclaim a youthful allure. Their dignity evaporates, replaced by caricature and mockery. The world laughs at them now. The power they believed they held is now the source of amusement for others. Their delusions, once terrifying, are now ridiculous. They lose the ability to mask, to hide behind the carefully constructed personas that once fooled the world. Exhaustion, bitterness, and decay strip away their pretenses. The monster they spent a lifetime concealing is out, 24/7. They are openly cruel, openly vile, openly bigoted. Their toxicity repels everyone they meet. Friends, colleagues, even casual acquaintances, avoid them. Society quarantines them, not out of hatred, but out of self-preservation. And worst of all, they are trapped in a time loop, living endlessly in the past. They repeat the same stories of glory from decades ago, replay the high school or early adult triumphs as if nothing new could ever matter. They cannot create new memories because they no longer have new supply to fuel them. They exist as ghosts haunting the museum of their own faded past, a shadow that has already died long before their body gives out. The final, inescapable result is the legacy of trauma. They leave no love, no warmth, no fond memories. Instead, they leave behind the scars of those they hurt, the therapy bills, the emotional wounds, and the whispered relief of those who survived them. "Thank God it's over," is what their funeral guests truly feel. They wanted to be immortal, to be remembered as gods in their own stories, but instead, they become cautionary tales, living warnings etched in the hearts of those who escaped their orbit. But here's the contrast: you are the survivor. You escaped the black hole of their manipulation. You finally understood. You were not the problem, you were the supply. And then you made a choice. You were done being consumed. You broke the trauma bond. You detoxed from their poison. You reclaimed your energy, your sanity, and most importantly, your life. And now, you have something they can never, ever have: contentment. You can sit quietly in a room and feel at peace. You can look in the mirror and actually like who you see. You can give love freely, without hidden agendas, without manipulation. You are whole. You are not broken glass. You are strength, clarity, and freedom. They are the ones shattered, scattered by their own choices. The verdict is clear: the narcissist is not a god. They are a junkie, addicted to the illusion of power and admiration, dying in the gutter of their own ego. They chose their drug, the constant consumption of supply, over people, over love, over life itself, every single time. Now, let them have their drug. Let them have the emptiness. Let them have the silence they once feared. You, on the other hand, have a life to live. Walk away. Walk far. And don't look back. If this video spoke to you, if you've ever felt drained, trapped, manipulated, or simply lost in the orbit of someone like this, I want to hear your story. Share it in the comments. Your voice matters. Your experience can help others see the truth, feel seen, and find their own way out. Hit like if this gave you clarity. Subscribe for more insights into narcissism, healing, and reclaiming your life. And share this video with someone who needs to see it. Together, we rise. Together, we reclaim our energy, our peace, and our lives. Remember this, you survived the fire. You are not the problem. You are the hero of your own story. And no one, not even the most cunning narcissist, can take that away from you. You might think the narcissist is addicted to power, money, or even themselves. But the truth is far more pathetic. They are slaves to a drug only you can provide, and they will burn their whole life down just to keep that needle full. Welcome back. Today, we're going to look at the sickness that eats the narcissist from the inside. You've probably spent years asking, why? Why do they lie when the truth would be easier? Why do they discard good people for trash? Why are they never satisfied? You think it's choice. You think they are evil masterminds plotting your ruin. But they aren't masterminds. They are junkies. They are gripped by a biological, psychological, and spiritual addiction more powerful than heroin, more destructive than alcohol. The addiction is to narcissistic supply, the praise, admiration, attention, or fear you give them. Once you see this clearly, you will stop seeing them as powerful. You'll see them for what they are, a starving animal, desperate for a fix. Let's strip away the jargon. Research shows the narcissist's brain is chemically dependent on external validation. When you admire them, their brain floods with dopamine and natural opioids. They literally get high. That rush numbs the deep shame hiding inside. But like any drug, the effect is temporary. The moment your attention falters, the chemicals crash. Suddenly, they are plunged into dysphoria, a crushing, intolerable depression. They aren't vain, they are addicted. This addiction explains love bombing. The intensity at the start, the mirrors, the compliments, the obsession, you thought it was passion. It wasn't. It was desperation. They were testing your potency as a supplier. Were you compliant? Could you give them the high they needed? Once hooked, the intensity fades. You were never a partner, you were a syringe full of the drug they craved. Because they are addicts, they see people through utility. An alcoholic doesn't love the bottle, they love the liquor inside. When the bottle is empty, it gets tossed. That's how narcissists treat you. If you can't supply them, if you get tired or sick or sad, you're useless. They don't feel empathy, they feel annoyance. A broken toaster doesn't make toast. That's all they see. This chemical slavery drives their hypervigilance. They scan every room. Watch your face for microexpressions. Check every like on social media. They are terrified of running out. Imagine an addict with one last hit in their pocket, sweaty, anxious, paranoid. That is the baseline state of the narcissist. Your freedom is a threat to their fix, so they control it obsessively, like a cartel controls its product. Solitude is terrifying for them. Being alone is like cold turkey for a heroin addict. Alone, there's no supply, no reflection of their false self. Silence forces them to face the true self, the empty, shameful child buried decades ago. They cannot endure it. So they surround themselves with anyone, even enemies. A room full of strangers is better than a room alone. They are parasitic by biology. They cannot generate self-esteem internally. They siphon it from you. You feel drained, exhausted, empty. They are energy vampires. They suck you dry, then blame you for not giving enough. Their hunger is the problem, but they can't see it. This addiction overrides survival instincts. They will risk marriage, career, and reputation for a hit of new supply. The new partner is not love, they are a stronger dose of dopamine. They chase novelty because the old supply has lost potency. They are not rational. They are chasing the dragon. They will burn their house to feel the fire for 5 minutes. They feel entitled to your energy. Boundaries are theft. When you refuse them, narcissistic rage erupts. Violent. Terrifying. It's panic, the fear of withdrawal. The addiction drives them to extremes, because their survival depends on the next hit. So, when you see them, don't see a monster. See a slave. Chained to a hunger that can never be filled, waking each day with a craving that grows weaker with every fix. They are dying of thirst in the middle of the ocean, drinking salt water that only makes them thirstier. The most dangerous part of any addiction is tolerance. At first, a single compliment, a glance, a word of admiration, would send the narcissist soaring. Your attention was enough, electric, intoxicating. But the human brain adapts. Over time, your praise fades into background noise. Your love becomes ordinary. This is what I call the tolerance trap. The narcissist is doomed to get bored with everything and everyone they touch. Nothing can sustain the high anymore. That means even if you stay perfect, even if you never change, they will devalue you. They will look at you with contempt, not because of you, but because their brain cannot sustain joy. They are angry at the dealer for their own addiction, blaming you for their chemical defect. When positive supply, admiration, love, attention, stops working, they switch to negative supply. Fear, anger, tears, and conflict release a different kind of energy. If they can't make you smile, they'll make you scream. Any reaction fuels them. Scraping the bottom of the barrel for energy becomes a survival tactic. It is dirty, ugly, but it keeps them alive. This is why narcissists are sensation seekers. They chase adrenaline. Reckless driving, gambling, shopping sprees, public humiliation, they manufacture chaos to shock their system into feeling anything. Peace feels like death. They must keep the war going. Tolerance drives escalation in intimacy too.